Hello and welcome to another edition of the Door 14 Hockey Podcast. I'm your host Marty alongside Dave
Hello.
and John.
Hello.
Well, boys, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
Good, good. We do have quite a bit to talk about. Let's just quickly catch up because it has been a wee bit since the last time we spoke to each other. Oh, on here. Obviously, we speak to each other literally like every half hour on our WhatsApp group. But for anybody who's interested and who's watching and who's listening into the podcast, John, how's things? How are you doing?
Good. Everything's just copacetic. Can't really complain. I've got a weekend of hockey coming up, a weekend away from home. I think I'm contractually obliged to say that I'm definitely going to miss my wife and daughter. If I don't say that, I think I'll be in trouble, but I'm definitely looking forward to a game in Belfast and a first ever visit to the Spectrum.
Yes, that's right. Both you and Dave are heading off to Guildford on Sunday morning. Dave, obviously I seen you at the last game, which was 2 weeks ago, I think, here in Belfast potentially. You got over you didn't get blown away too badly then through the storms.
No, so everything seemed to hold up really well in the Eaton House, which is great. Hopefully we'll not have any issues with any further storms. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a nice romantic weekend away with John, which is always good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the way it seems to go in the last couple, isn't it, Dave? You and me holding hands, kicking our heels on a little away trip.
Yeah, the last time was the double header away in Scotland. I think it was the Dundee Fife one weekend, and I was supposed to go, and then I ended up catching COVID, and then I ended up couldn't go. So I had to send you off on your own. And then this weekend, just that something's come up, and unfortunately, I can no longer go to Guildford. And yeah, pity because I was obviously looking forward to ticking off another rink off the list. I think inside I'm more just it's killing me inside because I know Dave is now like one more ahead of that than I am, and it's like, oh. So yeah, we'll have to fix that. Boys, as I was saying,
Brings me to one left.
one left, which means it's Manchester, I think, for you, is it?
Manchester. Yeah.
Manchester,
And then
yeah,
that's
yeah.
all the. Well, sorry, I'll still have to go back to Cardiff to do the new rink, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yes, as you said, John, you are over with us this coming weekend. Actually, tomorrow, I think you're flying. And we see you on
Tomorrow night I
Saturday.
fly
So
in. Saturday is all about the boojum and the beer and the hockey.
yeah, and
the
I booked us in
VIP
for that.
suite.
Yeah, I booked us in for the VIP suite thing, so we'll see what that's like. We'll see if we can enjoy that. So, but we'll get to that. But boys, before we get to this weekend, let's catch up and look at the past 2 weeks and the last two weekends of ice hockey here in the UK. And let's start off our episode like we always do and take a quick look at the current standings across the Elite Ice Hockey League. So if we start off with the Elite Ice Hockey League, we have the Sheffield Steelers currently sitting top with 29 games played and 51 points. We have the Belfast Giants in second with 30 games played, 38 points. The Cardiff Devils sit in third with 28 games played, 37 points, and Guildford sit in fourth with 30 games played, 37 points. Coventry are currently fifth with 29 games played, 35 points. Dundee are in sixth with 31 games played, 33 points. Glasgow are in seventh with 30 games played, 30 points. Manchester Storm then are in eighth with 30 games played, 28 points. Five Flyers are currently sitting ninth with 30 games played, 25 points, and Nottingham Panthers are at bottom in 10th place, 27 games played and 22 points. Let's take a quick look first off at the top end of the league as it currently stands. Dave, let's go to you first. Obviously, Sheffield Steelers extending their lead at the moment. 29 games played, 51 points, looking quite dominant there at the top of the league. It's really at the moment. It's a cliche to say, but really at the moment, it's really Sheffield's to lose.
Yeah, you can't. They've been really dominant in their performance this season. It's tough to watch sometimes, but if you were to go back up to the 80 season with the Giants, it was probably something very similar. They've lost. I think they've only lost 4 games all season, which is phenomenal. We'll obviously see how they pan out. If they continue this run, they're in good shape to the end of the season. Well, hopefully it doesn't. Super glad to see the Giants in second, as we have. I think I've said to both of you maybe in private, is that for a not the best Giants team, they're still second in the league, which is phenomenal. For what we would consider a poor team, they're doing really well. And long may continue. The adding of Goodwin and Cullen have injected the energy.
Definitely. There definitely seems to be kind of this paying off now. The Giants have obviously returned a bit of form there in the last few games, especially there against Nottingham and stuff. We'll come to Nottingham in a few minutes, but John, just kind of following up with obviously what we're chatting there about there with the Steelers. Obviously sitting top. We've said Steelers it's theirs to lose. Do you see much more in terms of those next three in the pack, Giants, Cardiff, and Guildford, kind of sitting in around the same rough points? Do you think they still have I suppose, a fight in this game?
There's always a fight until mathematically it's not possible anymore. I think last season was too early to jump on the bandwagon of saying the Giants were out of the running when it looked like Guildford were streaking away, much in the same way that Sheffield looked like they're streaking away. We're going to talk about it. We may as well talk about it here. Actually, the Sheffield Steelers were tagged with the best road tally or performances of any team, not just in the Elite League but in Europe. The Elite League decided to tweet about that or X about that, and wouldn't you know it, the Steelers get beaten in Fife by the Flyers the following night, a 2-1 loss in regulation to the Flyers. So, yeah, it's only one loss, and they're now off the back of an absolutely stunning win in the Challenge Cup. First leg of the semi-final against Coventry last night, 6-0. You've only got to look at the post-game interview with Danny Stewart, where he outright says that is probably the best team in my entire time in the Elite League. He's being blunt about it. Like, this team is incredible. Now, I've seen a few people talk about, well, did he not see the Giants Grand Slam team? I think there's a differentiation needs to be made about last year's Giants team that came together. Yes, they were a pocketbook team as well. Let's not make no mistake about it. The Sheffield Steelers, though, have broken the bank when it comes to putting this team together, and it would be surprising for them not to walk away at this point with, honestly, I'm going to say 2 at least out of the 3 trophies. They've said in their own post after last night that they've got 1 foot in the final. I have that post marked just in case, because I look forward to Coventry going in, a 7-0 regulation win in Sheffield to knock them out, because that would just be fantastic. But realistically, I don't see it happening. But yeah, at this point, it's you wouldn't be laughed out of a bookies for going to say 2 trophies for Sheffield this season.
And I think you're probably pretty dead on. I think you're dead on the money there. I think you're right. I think there's no argument that there's potential for that. And as you say, I mean, people will. We've seen it a lot on social media, and social media can be quite a toxic place at times. And we've seen comments last year about how the Giants bought the league or whatever it was, or spent money on whatever it was. If there a cap, is there not a cap? We'll never know. But if you've got the money and they're spending the money the right way, then you know what. Yeah, it's going to happen. But fair play to Sheffield. They've went on good form, and they're continuing that form. And yeah, it is definitely. I feel it's theirs to lose. Guys, let's just take a quick look towards the bottom end of the pile. Obviously, we're looking at the likes of Glasgow, Manchester, and the Flyers. We'll talk about Nottingham, or they're kind of further on down there. They're kind of sitting in 10th, and we think probably they're going to end there. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But let's look at Dundee, Glasgow. Well, actually, let's look at Glasgow, Manchester, and Flyers anyway. I suppose Glasgow had a really good run of form, done really well towards the early part of the season. Have now hit this point where they've kind of maybe, they're still within the Challenge Cup, which is good, but they're kind of maybe the breaks have kind of had a wee bit within the league. Would you kind of agree with that statement or not, John?
I don't know. It's a tough one. The Clan have proven, again, I'm going to use an example of last night, they've proven that they have the ability to win games from under the heel. Now, admittedly, that was against the Panthers, but the Panthers were 3-0 up in that game at one point, and the Clan ended up winning 6-3, scoring 6 unanswered goals in Nottingham. Now, Nottingham has their own problems. They're trying to patch holes at the minute. There's a new signing just announced, I think, yesterday, just prior to this game, of a new guy coming in. I don't know if he iced for them last night or not. To be honest, it's not the Giants, so I didn't look. But the Clan, again, or we say it every podcast where they're still involved in the Challenge Cup. They're the team that has promised everything and delivered nothing. And are they in with a shout of it still? Yeah, they're in with a shout at the Challenge Cup. If they come up against Sheffield, they've absolutely no chance, because that Clan team does not beat Sheffield on a one-off trophy game. I just can't see it. Do they stay where they are in the league tables? I reckon that's a fair reflection of that team right now, is to stay in that sort of bottom end, mid-bottom end of the table. It just depends how Nottingham rally now coming through the latter part of the season, and if they can scrape 8th. But to be honest, I know you asked me about the Clan, Martin. I've talked quite a lot about the Panthers, but I think there is a real risk of a playoffs without Nottingham this year.
Yeah, and let's come to Nottingham. Let's come to the Nottingham conversation, because obviously it is obviously the thing that is everybody's talking about at the moment online. Obviously their assistant coach Kevin Moore actually spoke with Panthers TV following the game against Glasgow in the defeat there at the Motorpoint Arena, and it was just a very human interview that he conducted. Talked about obviously the aftermath and what the team are still feeling, obviously given all the tragic events that happened in October. I mean, Dave, we've seen probably a toxic area of fans from Nottingham internally. Those calling for something to be done because it's not good enough, and you've got the fans who are compassionate and understanding of what's going on and kind of just appreciative of the fact that hockey continued following such a big tragedy. I mean, Nottingham not being in playoffs obviously is a big thing, but it's understandable, I would guess.
I would totally agree. It must be, as a group of guys that have came together and have been playing, and to lose somebody, it's only natural that they're not going to be performing to the best of their ability. They'll always have something in the back of their mind. After watching them play, they're extremely physical team, and having that physicality is probably why they're struggling, because they're probably not going into their checks as hard. They're maybe pulling out of their checks because it's always in the back of their mind, and I would say it's really hurting them emotionally, and it would be hard to get energized, just that aggressive style, when something so horrific has happened so recently. I don't think they recover this season from it. In my opinion, it'll be a almost wholesale change in that team that'll make that happen. And as long as they keep going, that's the best thing. I know that the Elite League lives and dies on having a good Nottingham and a good Sheffield, and it's something we want to. Would love it if it wasn't that case, if it was everybody that. But we know that that's the two teams that pull in the gate, that is the sort of the heart of the league. And I know that's not necessarily putting anybody else down, but sheer numbers and fan bases, it's those two teams. So, and I hope that the more compassionate group of Nottingham fans win out. Well
said. I think so. We know, not to go into too much of it, but we know there is some news on that incident that took place in October. There'll be, I think, some news on that over this weekend. I know there's a thing being convened tomorrow, I think, in Sheffield, as part of a decision being made by the coroner's court and all that kind of stuff happening tomorrow. So I know I'd say Twitter will probably be a bit interesting, or be kind of, again, that story will raise again this weekend coming, I'm guessing. I believe it's tomorrow. I'm nearly sure. I think I read yesterday it was tomorrow that the decision that there's going to be a conversation had, or there's going to be a tribunal or something was happening tomorrow. So I'm sure there's something over the next coming days will come from that. So yeah, be prepared. boys. I think that's really it for the Elite League. So I'm going to switch our attention over across the pond to the NHL, if that's okay. And we're going to look at the wildcard spots as they currently stand as of January 25th. Starting off in the Eastern Conference and the Atlantic Division. The Boston Bruins sit top with 47 games played and 67 points. The Florida Panthers sit in second with 47 games played, 62 points. And the Toronto Maple Leafs sit in third with 46 games played, 56 points. In the Metropolitan Division, then, the New York Rangers sit top with 47 games played, 61 points. The Carolina Hurricanes sit in second with 46 games played, 57 points. And Aaron's not here, but the Philadelphia Flyers are sitting in third with 48 games played and 56 points. The two wildcard spots currently held by Tampa and Detroit. Switching across the other side of the country, in the western side of things, in the Central Division, the Winnipeg Jets are sitting top there with 46 games played, 65 points, followed by the Colorado Avalanche with 48 games played, 65 points, and the Dallas Stars with 47 games played, 62 points. And then in the Pacific Division, last but not least, the Vancouver Canucks sit top with 48 games played, 69 points. Vegas Golden Knights in second with 48 games played, 62 points. And the Edmonton Oilers in third with 43 games played, 55 points. Wildcard spots held by LA Kings and Nashville Predators. Let's see, where do we start? Let's go first off with the Pacific Division, because I think that one for me has been quite interesting. And looking at the Edmonton Oilers specifically. Edmonton Oilers for me started off, shall we say, with massive issues at the start of this season, to the point where we had their, Connor McDavid there making specific comments about, like, how he wasn't happy, and there was all these rumors about, like, was he going to split from the Oilers because of what was going on. I mean, that's a big switch around from earlier in the season, John.
Yeah, it's a massive switch around, and let's just talk about their streak. They're on a 14-game win streak right now.
Yeah.
That's mad. That continues. They go on a run. They could be looking at hanging a banner for the President's Trophy if they keep that up. Obviously, that's the Nashville and me coming out there saying about hanging banners for the President's Trophy. But hell of a turnaround. It could be an incredible Cinderella story. Can you imagine the Netflix special? If they've been getting filmed behind the scenes, the first sort of third of the season, the absolute sort of tearing apart of that organisation from the inside out, fans jumping on the throat of the likes of McDavid for even suggesting, I don't think he even said anything, I think it was fans created this whole narrative that, he's going to jump because the team is doing really crap and he's never going to win a Stanley Cup sitting in this team. Well, he's still in with a shout of it. And the Oilers are, I mean, no pun intended, but they're looking like a well-oiled machine right now.
I like what you did there. I mean, I agree. I mean, it definitely looks like a complete 180. And it's just a phenomenal bounce back, in my opinion. From seeing, from start to finish, from where we are now to where we are now. If we look at I was gonna just bring up Boston as well. The Boston Bruins just continuing to do Boston things. I mean, sitting in first place still. I mean, I think it's constant. Like, I mean, previous season was exactly the same, and it just looks like they're running to form. I mean, people are saying that, is it going to be another season where they hit over that 100 points? I would imagine yes. Dave, do you see it being any different?
I can. It'll be the same. Boston seems to be one of those teams the last few years that it reminds. I don't know whether maybe show me age or whatever, but do you ever remember? Was it the early '90s when it used to be the Sharks would be sitting President's Trophy winner for like 2 or 3 seasons in the trot, and then done nothing in playoffs. It sort of has that feel to it, I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but just based on what we've seen recently, But yeah, I think they'll definitely get their 100 points.
There's a few teams sitting in currently good spots at the moment, and there is a story in the second period that we're going to come on to, and it'll be an interesting to see if it makes a difference to some of these teams. Given quite a serious story we're going to cover in period 2, but one of those teams is obviously the Philadelphia Flyers. Effectively their first string netminder at the moment has taken a leave of absence. Seeing the Flyers in third position, and sitting there comfortably over the last few weeks, it's a bit of a blow for them. Obviously given the fact that they've had such a good run, this could be a bit of a blow in terms of an unexpected absence that they weren't planned for.
I think we're gonna talk about it. I think we're as well leaving that discussion for when we get to there, because there's a lot to discuss, not just for the teams but for the league.
That's a fair comment. We'll leave it at that then. Well then, if we're happy enough, we'll leave it there. And we'll just get stuck into our episode, and we'll move on to our period 1 of hockey. Okay, period 1 is a roundup of stories from around the UK. We'll keep one of yours for the very last for this period 1, and that's obviously this coming weekend in the League Ice Hockey League. So let's start off with, shall we say, an example of poor management of season tickets, followed by a really good example of management of season tickets. So we'll do it that way. We'll call it that. Since our last podcast, the Glasgow Clan, as we talked about, are in the Challenge Cup semi-finals, and the Glasgow Clan had put out a statement. Now I know this is probably a bit old compared to the previous, but it happened after our last episode. It happened about 10 days ago, maybe now. But anyway, the Glasgow Clan put out a statement basically saying to season ticket holders, you have until X date to claim your season ticket seat and to secure your own seat for the upcoming semi-final. A decision then was taken by the club. In their statement officially said a decision was taken to bring forward the deadline after more than 800 season ticket seats were unclaimed, and yet in the meantime the club has been inundated with general sale ticket requests. With an incredibly low number of tickets sold between Thursday and the Sunday, the decision was taken to bring forward the deadline, and 500 tickets have been sold in the 12 hours since they brought the deadline forward. Basically, what they done was they went back on the date that they originally told their season tickets that they had to buy their tickets, and then brought that forward by a day or two, and left a number of their season ticket holders without their own season ticket. A is one thing, and B without a ticket at all in some cases, because the tickets were sold, and some people didn't even get those tickets because the ticket pricing for those games were £10 and £5 respectively. The Glasgow Clan, I can see what they mean. I can see where they came from in terms of like business sense. They were like, we can sell this. But they jumped the gun. I mean, if you as a season ticket holder, obviously Dave, we'll go with you first. And John, obviously you were a season ticket holder of the Belfast Giants, but as a season ticket holder, from a season ticket holder's point of view, I know people think, well, season ticket holders sometimes feel that they're like that they've got some kind of
there's an entitlement.
An entitlement, and that's not the case. But I mean, from a point of view of you follow this, you follow your team, you have a season ticket for a reason. You do hope you get your chance to get your ticket, and then for them to kind of change without enough notice. I mean, what
I would be pissed. And I have to say that I 100% have a sense of entitlement as a season ticket holder. I hand out my money at the start of the season, whether the team's going to be fantastic or absolute garbage. They have my money, and that's why you're a season ticket. You're given a hell of a lot more support to the team than some Johnny come lately who's coming to see the team because they're winning. They've got your money if it's garbage. They've got your money if it's brilliant. They got your money if you don't come. So the least they can do is it'll give you the time that they offered for you to pick your seat. Like you're not asking for anything that they didn't already provide. It was the fact that they changed their mind, and that's just not good business. What that'll do is it'll basically mean that they're not a trustworthy organization to work with. If that's what they've done to people who they consider their bread and butter, what are they doing to businesses they work with?
I mean,
you say it's bad business. You say it's bad business, but this game's sold out now.
It's short-term gain for long-term pain.
And I totally understand. And I'm not saying what I said to disagree with you. I'm just throwing out the other point. I actually 100% agree with you, and it's for a point that I made earlier on when we were talking about their position. I've said it countless numbers of times in this podcast that Glasgow are the team who have promised everything and delivered nothing. What they've got is a core of fans who have stuck with them through poor seasons, good seasons where they should have won something and didn't, seasons like last season where they were entirely let down as a fan base by an incredibly poorly run organisation. Then to get to a semi-final of a cup and say to your season ticket holders, we don't value you enough to give you the time that we said that we would in January after Christmas, when people are potentially dealing with a 5 or 5.5 week pay month, and say, actually, we know that there's people beating down the door wanting these 5er and 10er tickets, so actually we're going to fill the building with generic fans who are going to come because we're in the press because of this. What we don't want is you guys and us having to wait and potentially miss out on those ticket sales. The fact that that is sold out, and the fact that we're now, it was only I think it was a week. Was it less than a week? Was how far forward they brought the release. They would have sold that game out.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that they held on to 100, 150, 200 season ticket seats that hadn't sold yet. It's just nonsense. And I've seen a few Clan fans who are not attending this game.
I think it was the fact that it was. I think it was the fact that it was. I think they said it was 500 seats that they had that they wanted to release. But I mean, as you said, John, and that was my next question, and you hit it. You hit the nail on the head there, John. I mean, did we ever think, or did they ever think that there was actually going to be a actual possibility that they weren't going to sell this game out? Because let's be honest, it's a semi-final game. Glasgow Clan fans, as we know, are very loyal fans. Like we always joke around that the Belfast Giants and the Glasgow Clan seem to have some kind of rivalry. I don't know if this has been a made-up rivalry they've created themselves, but you cannot argue the fact, and we see this at playoffs as well, how dedicated the Glasgow Clan fans are. They are a good bunch. Like, they're a dedicated bunch to that club. There was no way that this game was not going to sell out no matter what. So to bring forward the date, it didn't matter if they brought forward the date or not. This game was going to sell out. So they shouldn't have jumped the gun. I think what also made it worse was that the statement that was put out by the club, I feel, was a really bad statement. I don't think it really got to the. I think that they failed to understand completely what the actual issue was that was happening and why. And I don't think they addressed it in the right way. I just think it was kind of like a, too bad, we're done it and we're not regretting it, and that's it. There was no real like, oh, we're really sorry. It just felt really, I don't know. It just didn't seem like a really
It's
good.
the first stumble, and I'll say this: it's the first stumble by the new ownership and management team in the clan, other than not responding to any of my emails.
And then complaining, then going, oh, contact this boy.
Yeah, then complaining to me on X and say, oh, send your media request through to this guy. Yeah, he hasn't answered any of the other ones that I've sent either. So,
Oh, John, it'll happen sometime. But now, they're not going to listen. Hopefully, well, they're not going to listen to the podcast. But if they do, hopefully, we're sorry.
never mind the clan. Let's talk about someone who actually looks after their season tickets.
Go for it. Yep.
So, the Leeds Knights have been a bit of a force in the second tier division of hockey in the country since they came around. What are they now, in their third season or something, I think, down in Leeds.
Right, yeah.
They have announced on X that their season ticket holders, if they can't make a game, they can return their seat so that the team can then sell that again for somebody to come back in exchange for a free stream. That is how you deal with season ticket holders. That's fantastic. This is the value that you're getting. Now, I know I posted about this on my own X and said this is fantastic. And I've had some comments that a few different organisations have done similar. I believe Cardiff Devils have done this, where they've been close to, I'm not going to say what they say, to a sellout. And they have given that offer of, if you can't attend in person but still want to watch the game.
What do they say?
They say a hell out.
Oh,
yeah.
And you made me say it.
I was
really
I'm glad you asked, because I was wrecking my brain thinking, what do they say? A hell out, that's right. Oh, okay.
Hell
Yeah.
out.
So they've done it. I believe another couple of teams in the EIHL, they also do it as well, I'm led to believe. It's incredible to me that no Elite League team does this. So to see that, my question, going back to the clan, would be, well, if you've got season ticket holders who are not coming to that Challenge Cup semi-final game, maybe think about emailing them and maybe say, look, here's a code for the stream.
It's not even that they're not coming. It's because they can't go. It's shocking.
Yep. But yeah, this to me, what the Leeds Knights have done, that's fantastic. That's a
Classic.
great display of looking after, like you said, Dave, your bread and butter fans who are there through thick and thin. And if for some reason they can't attend, yeah, here's a way for you to still watch the game and support the team that you follow and you have a season ticket for. So, well done.
I think I agree. I think it's a brilliant concept. And as you say, yes, fair play to the teams who did do it before. And I don't know. I did hear the Devils had done it before. Don't know if that's still a thing that they currently do. And is it only for games whenever there is a big sellout coming up? But but yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a great concept. It's a great concept. It's a great idea, especially when it comes to this part of the season. Especially at the end of the season where that you probably aren't going to have problems selling selling those tickets. Obviously, even the Belfast Giants over the Christmas period there and over the New Year, they were saying we're pretty much at a sellout. And that game against Fife there, that we were talking about last week in our last podcast. I mean, that was a sellout too. I mean, you'd imagine if they could think, well, if we can get a few more season ticket seats to make sure that the people are kind of coming along, you think that would be a great idea. I would totally. I'm not saying I don't miss that many. I don't miss that many games. I don't, but I know that if I am going to have to miss a game, that it'd be great to have the opportunity then basically to say, right, I can watch it at home then instead. Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be perfect because I've already paid. Like as you said, Dave, at the very start, you've paid for your ticket already. So you basically, there's no harm. It's not like they're losing out because they're making double amount of money on one seat if they're going to sell the seat again. So it would make sense. Okay.
Brilliant job. I think it's a class idea, and I think hopefully more people take it seriously because I think that would be awesome.
Definitely. We have one more story for this period, short and sweet, for period one. But this coming weekend, here in the Elite Ice Hockey League, and actually I think maybe this past weekend or last week, I think maybe was for the EIHL, I think as well. Or you can correct me if I'm wrong. But this coming weekend for the Elite League anyway is the Pride Night or Pride Week in the Elite League. Hence the reason our background for anybody who's watching, or for anybody who's not watching the podcast, anybody who's listening, our background is currently a rainbow flag. And John has this nice Pride jersey behind him. Mine is over here. I just didn't get a chance. I came in late to the podcast. I was rushing in and I forgot to put mine on, but it's sitting over there.
This is just hanging here because this will be the jersey for the weekend.
Yes, I've got mine sitting ready to go too. But we talking about jerseys, we obviously have the Pride jerseys have all been revealed. Some have already been played in, some we've already seen already live. So let's throw these up. We'll kind of get an idea of what everybody's thoughts are on these. Let me remove the overlay so we're not looking at that. Let's start off with the one we've already seen, actually. And this is Nottingham played in this past weekend, I think it was, on the 20th of January. And that is the Nottingham Panthers jersey. Nottingham Panthers have obviously went with the Pride flag in the arms and the bottom of the jersey itself. I think it's a really nice looking jersey.
Yeah, I quite like it.
Yep.
I think it stands out. I really like it. I think it's an example of a good jersey.
Yeah, it says what it needs to say, and it doesn't take away from the Nottingham's own brand. I do quite like the the button, whatever you call it, the corner of the neck. I like that. The wee flag in there. I think that's a nice wee touch.
I like it because it mirrors their jersey from this season as well. It doesn't, whilst I love that it stands out, it also doesn't stand out from a branding perspective, and I like that. I like that they haven't reinvented the wheel with it, and I know that I've said the exact opposite sometimes with some organisations, and it's lacked originality, but I think with the way that this works, I think this works really, really well with their existing branding. Yeah,
definitely. I would agree. Our next example is probably one of my favourite jerseys, Pride jerseys.
God tier. God tier
I think
Pride
this
jersey.
is a phenomenal Pride jersey this season, and this is the Fife Flyers jersey. The Fife Flyers have opted for a navy style jersey with a Pride flag woven into a tartan style design across the middle and across the arms. I mean, it's just like John, you know my thoughts. We've had these conversations about tartan themed jerseys before. We talked about the Brayhead Clan. Was the Brayhead Clan one? I think we talked. No, Dundee's one earlier in the season.
Yes.
We talked about that, and I said I like the subtlety of that one. Some of them can be a bit overpowering. Like I think the Glasgow Clan one was really overpowering. It was awful, but this one is next level. It's beautiful. I think hopefully we're all in agreement, but I think this one's beautiful.
This one's absolutely fantastic, and I just want to mention, because I noticed today that they actually put out a little story in the Fife Free Press about this jersey, so they're getting a bit of coverage with it as well, and the fact that these jerseys were designed by Morag McDougall and Kirsty Milne, who are the club's social media people, and they have designed this, and I think they need the plaudits for that, because this is just incredible. I think the Flyers, admittedly, I'm a Fifer, I'm living in Fife, I'm a Giants fan, but the Flyers, I think, have some of the best kits this season, hands down. Their Challenge Cup jersey, which didn't get played in very much, was absolutely amazing, and this is just, that's top of the pile for me when it comes to Pride jerseys.
I've got to agree. I think it's top of my pile too, and that's rare for me to agree with you, John. But I would agree with you.
John, are they registering the tartan?
I don't know, actually.
That would be some kilt.
I don't know if technically when you do this sort of stuff, it's not technically a tartan. I think there's like very specific things that you have to do for it to be registered.
Go get them done.
Well, maybe. But that's fantastic. I have said if Colin Shirley, if you're watching after I spoke to you earlier in the season, if your jersey happens to fall down the back of a sofa and get found, about sort of April, May time, then I would gladly take it. I'll be totally honest, if these get auctioned online, I'm going to take a quick little glance at it and see what the crack is.
Yeah, definitely.
Marty
next
might
up,
play one and somehow end up in your cupboard or something.
Yeah. Oh, Marty bought me it because he's a really nice friend. No, I didn't spend any money on it, Catherine. No. Next up, we have the Coventry Blaze jersey. This one, shall we say, is overwhelming to the senses, shall we say?
I disagree with you on this. I actually really like... Well, no, I like one of these.
The white one?
Deeply, deeply dislike the black one.
Okay.
But I do very much like the white one, which we are going to see in Belfast this weekend. The Blaze will be wearing the white away Pride jersey in Belfast on Saturday night. And I genuinely love that white jersey. The black one, I don't think it works. Don't ask me why. All they've done is switch one colour, black and white. I just don't think it works on black. I would have liked to see that in Blaze Blue.
Yeah, that's maybe what it is. It's the blue that's still in the logo, I think. That in the actual dragon, Scorch. Whenever you look at it, the black on it looks a bit weird. Yeah, if it was in the blue, I think it would work
the white,
better.
it works. I don't know what it is, but the white, it works. And up until Fife released theirs, that white one was my top pick for Pride jerseys.
For me, to be honest with you, if I didn't see the Pride flag in the Blaze part, and also obviously the Scorch logo there in the middle with the little rainbow, are they little flames coming out, or are they lightning? I don't really know. But yeah, the fact that they're colored rainbow color as well, I really like that little detail. But the jersey itself, when I first seen it, was kind of like it doesn't. I wouldn't scream Pride to me. I can see where the colors are in there, but it doesn't scream Pride rainbow to me. I don't know. It just didn't seem. I didn't see like rainbow as part of the progression of the colors, but that's just me. Next up,
because you see repeating colors, so you see red and stuff, which isn't normally what you in a Pride color.
So it didn't look rainbow-esque, but it's still good for play.
Yeah, it's still nice.
Next up, we have the Sheffield Steelers with their jersey, which is very, very subtle. I like the one thing I'll say about it that I do like is I like the little rainbow parts around the shoulder blades, where they've included a little detail around there. I like that as part of it. The dots and stuff themselves kind of reminds me a bit of the Belfast Giants jersey from last year. It's like they took the Belfast Giants jersey from last year and went, let's just copy what Belfast did and let's do something similar to that one. Because if I'm looking right at my one here, I could walk over and get it, but I'm not going to. But it looks exactly the same. I think it's kind of got the same dot pattern and same idea of style wise. So a bit of copying someone's homework from last season, I think.
I don't like it.
Yeah, the thing that made the Giants one work a bit more as well is that whenever we do jerseys like this, we color match the sponsors, which makes them less. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if they had done something similar, I think it might have looked better. The problem with any Sheffield jersey is your eye gets drawn away by the Sheffield window centre. You know, it's just such it's such an imposing. Not to say Sten line isn't big, but it's just.
But you're right. It's the sponsor color match, and I can't understand why for so many of their other sponsors now, whether or not they have a color associated to them or a specific like colors that are in the logo, for the Sheffield Window Centre to still retain its colors when the Steelers have whited out their logo.
Yeah.
Along with the other couple of ones on the front, I don't get that. It'd be nice if they'd, I don't know, white and black those sponsors rather than leaving them in full colour.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Next up, we have the Belfast Giants attempt this year for the Pride jerseys. We've talked about this already because I think we had this on as a preview back around Christmas time because they had released it at Christmas time because you were able to purchase these in order to have them ordered in time for this weekend's game. So we have seen these already, and I think we talked about this previously. I think all three of us were a bit meh about it.
Could they be doing the same thing as what they did at Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
And then just wear a different jersey.
Good point. They'll chuck on a different jersey tomorrow night or on Saturday night. So they'll play as a sheriff back. It'll be like, that's not the jersey we just bought. Yeah, that's exactly it. They probably will have something different. You're actually right. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, underwhelming. We talked about it before. Yeah.
It looks like a trippy tie-dye. And I realised that the jerseys this season are a bit tie-dye, and we talked about that at the start of the season. But for talking about the Blaze not looking like it represents Pride, this one screams that to me. I don't see the link in the same way that I do with this one.
Yeah.
With the stripe across, I totally got it with that one. The colours looked like they matched, and again, I think when it comes to a Pride jersey, I think I'm completely sold on a white one, and I realise that I just said that the Flyers jersey, which they've kept the dark navy blue, but still, I think the white is the way to go for them.
Yeah,
I just don't like the black.
I think you're right. I think whoever it is this year who's designed the jerseys has some kind of 70s trip going this year, and they've just kept with that. That's exactly what I thought too. As our friend Colin has just mentioned, someone was on shrooms. I'd probably guess the same, because it was definitely a 70s feel to it again. Next up, we have Dundee. Dundee have went very subtle, shall we say. They went with a black jersey with a Rainbow Dundee logo in the middle and a rainbow flag on the cuffs of each sleeve, and then obviously the number and names on the back are rainbow as well. Guys, your take on this?
What's the sublimated thing in the background?
The ghosting, you mean?
I'm not 100%. It looks like a paisley pattern or something, but I'm not 100%.
I do like it. Again, I think I'm with you, John. If it was in white, the colours would pop more. And I think they suffer. Last season, the Stars with their jersey, they put out a logoed one like this, but it basically just looked like their home jersey. And the reasoning at that point was that they weren't putting out an entirely redesigned jersey because they wanted something that anyone could wear on any given night to any given game, but also represent Pride as part of that. I get that messaging. I wonder if they've tried to do something similar this time with this one in not completely redesigning, but I don't think they've quite nailed it with this. The other one is the names. I don't know. It's too
too linear. It's too linear, and I don't know. I don't want to say boring, but it is a little bit boring.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I like it in the sense that what they've done works better than the Giants one, definitely.
We have our friend Amy here who's suggesting that I'm guessing the ghosting part. She's suggesting it looks like a maze and a labyrinth.
Could be, yeah.
Could be, because it does. It's very hard to understand and very hard to determine what that is. But yeah,
I can't get closer to my screen to watch it.
no, nor can I. I'm thinking the
Look at
same. Exactly. I was like, maybe I should zoom in the screen rather than me getting closer. Moving on, we have the Manchester Storm up next. Manchester Storm have went with a black jersey as usual, with like, are they like wavy lines of different colors to kind of form a rainbow-esque color? I'm guessing. It's hard
This looks
to
like
tell.
a rave. If
It
anyone
does
was
look
on
like a
shrooms,
rave.
if
Yeah.
anyone was on shrooms, it's whoever designed this one.
We
This
have
is-
we have the Giants stuck in the 70s with their style of disco, and this one is definitely the 90s with rave.
whoever designed this listened to a lot of Scooter when they were growing up.
Next up, we have the Guildford Flames jersey, which is a Navy style jersey with the Guildford Flames logo in the middle, which has been changed to the rainbow flag colours. It has a striped through rainbow right through the centre of the arms and the torso, and then also one at the bottom as a little ridge around the bottom end of the jersey, as well as obviously numbers and names, also rainbow-esque. Hopefully I'm describing this quite well for the podcast. I really like this jersey. It's clean. It's really nice looking, and I think this is my favourite after the Fife one.
So this is the image that we've got up on the visual podcast here is obviously the mock-up. The Flames put out a video earlier today, in fact just about an hour ago, with one of their players wearing it getting interviewed, and the one thing I didn't like about this image here was the logo. I felt like it was disappearing.
Okay.
But actually on the actual jersey, the logo pops really, really well. And it looks fantastic, and I think you're right, Marty. I think this is second to the Flyers jersey, and I would say it's a tied second for me with the Coventry white jersey.
I'm going to put up this comment because this is something I would agree with. The only downside to this jersey and why it puts it in second place is I'm going to agree with Colin here. Or Fuzz, it's weird calling him Colin, sorry. It takes away from the number on the back. I agree. The number on the back collides with the rainbow stripe that goes through the middle. And I think it is a bit hard to read in certain parts. And I think that's the only thing that lets it down. Otherwise, it's a very close second for me as a jersey.
For that one, you've got to feel for the announcers wherever they're playing. If it's just if they're just wearing that at home, then you've got to feel for their announcers trying to read the numbers on the back of that through the game.
With the numbers and the name, it's quite jarring that they went from the bold flag lines to a gradient, and that ruins it for me. That you're seeing these bold lines, which are brilliant. You know, it's telling you exactly what you need to see, and then on the number they went with a gradient, which they're two clashing. Two clashing styles of design.
Does anyone else bump up against the stripe at the bottom of the jersey as well? Do you ever print a test page for a printer? And if you're doing if you're calibrating a scanner, it has the color blocks and it calibrates the scanner. That's what that feels like. It feels like that was like the color swatches that they used for this, and they accidentally left that on there.
No, I'm not going to see any. I'm not going to see that any differently now. I really like this jersey. You just ruined it. I'm not going to see the past.
Well, look, you could win one. You could pay like £800 or £900 because it's a Guildford jersey. And bearing in mind, this is a Guildford jersey, a one-off Guildford jersey that has their actual logo on it. So I don't know how they've managed that one. But you could buy it and just cut the bottom off.
Do you think that they had just, whenever they ordered their normal season jersey, one came with the test print still on? They went, "Oh, I like that."
Let's add to that, yeah, possibly, yeah. Up next we have this, the paintball jersey, as I call it. The Glasgow Clan have went for a black jersey with what can only be described as
is that black?
Grey. again. I don't know, but it looks like they've basically taken a paintball gun and shot a few paintballs at the jersey and just left it.
Why is Mel Gibson grey?
Why?
Why?
Like, what is Glasgow doing this year? Like, I mean,
Why even is this jersey?
They copied obviously they copied that weird Willy Wonka design from somewhere else and put that on a jersey. They've got this one, and there's another one. I don't know if you added their slides, John. The one that they're using as a one-up jersey, which
no, I didn't actually.
It's a weird.
No.
It's that Hercules or whatever it is on the front with the big massive logo, and then it's like almost like
it's like a sunburst
really muted,
thing, isn't it?
yeah, like a really muted rainbow colors, but like really like almost like.
Honestly,
yeah, it's just weird.
Honestly, it's better than this.
Oh, fair enough.
Do you know what? See if those don't arrive and they have to play in their warm-up jerseys, that's a win for them, because that is god awful. That is as far from the brief for a Pride jersey as I've ever seen. I mean, you might as well just wear your own jersey, because anyone parting with money this weekend in Glasgow to get one of these,
you know what gets me?
It's awful.
They should have gone. Where's my? You've all seen it. I haven't got it here. My autism jersey. Remember legs?
Yes. Nope.
Yeah.
Where they just went, pardon my language, and just coloured the entire thing. See if they had done the entire jersey with the paintball, and
it still would have looked awful. That
would have looked
patterning,
a lot better than this, though.
No,
Like,
no, that patterning. Look at Marty scribbling because you swore. That
I'm writing down a number.
That patterning, if they'd done the whole jersey, it wouldn't work, and it wouldn't work for Pride. This jersey doesn't work for Pride. The only bit that does is for the 3 or 4 guys on that team who have a letter on their chest.
Yeah.
Because it's the only part that presents the rainbow. Now, I'll admit that Mel Gibson's sash also seems to have a rainbow on it. So, okay, every player does have that somewhere. But that's god awful. That's a horrendous jersey.
its sash would have looked a lot nicer if it was in the Fife tartan, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? Just delay their Pride game and just ask Fife to borrow their jerseys before they auction them off.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
I think the next up, is actually just the Cardiff Devils have released their
Literally
jersey.
released before we started.
So they play theirs a week or two after. The Cardiff Devils, we should note, try and coincide their Pride game along with Cardiff's own Pride weekend, which they continue to do. I
don't actually know. They have a home game this weekend, so I think they might be wearing these, but I think they will probably wear them again for Cardiff Pride in February.
I mean, we joke around about the Cardiff Devils and change up their logo and what they've done with it at the start of the season in the branding, but I really like what they've done with this. Yep. Am I the only one to say that? But I really like what they've done.
That's good. This is when Todd Kelman went on A View from the Bridge, and he kind of got stuck in a little bit about the rebrand and the logo and stuff, and said, look, it gives them a lot more flexibility, to do things like this with the logo. That is executed perfectly. That's fantastic. The whiting on the jersey. Do you know, weirdly, what I really like, and I know it's just because they have Warrior as their supplier, but I really like that sort of silvery, rainbowy, reflective Warrior logo that's on there.
I thought you didn't like it on the Giants one.
I hate it on the Giants one, but it looks better.
Oh, it's Dave doesn't like it. Okay, yeah, got you. Okay. Yeah,
I hate it on the Giants. They're normal Giants. It looks like they're wearing a flipping medallion. You know.
For anybody I just realized for anybody who's listening to the podcast who hasn't seen these, the Devils have pretty much just taken their Devils logo and they have faded in the rainbow colors right across from green right across to the purple colors right across it, fading in each as they go along, and it is beautiful. So if you haven't seen it, go have a look. It'll be on X. Have to look. Oh, there we go. Dave's wife jumping in there, Gemma. Hi, Gemma. Dave needs to buy the first round of the weekend instead of money in the swear jar. I would agree with that. Yep, I think it's only fair.
Sure. So nice,
there you go. You just buy 1 pint. So there you go. Moving on.
Amy, I'm just going to pop up. We've had a comment on this one. That it doesn't scream Pride. I'm only going to say this because I'm brave, because I'm in a different country. Amy, I disagree with you here.
I totally get it. So do. I totally get what Amy's saying, and it's the gradient. and I know it's as a jersey, it looks really well, and I know what they're going for, but Pride to me is, they actually picked those banded colors for a reason, and it's nice to have them all represented. That's what I like about the Nottingham one. Nottingham one for me is my favorite because it represents the entire spectrum for the Pride, which is why they do the flag the way they do.
I'm gonna say one thing though, because I had to really quickly take a screenshot of their announcement video, but I'm looking at their online store. They've just put these up for sale as replicas. So the back, the nameplate, and the numbers are graduated rainbows. So from top to bottom, and actually look really cool. They actually look like kind of like scales. I'm probably not describing this very well, but go and have a look at the Devils online store, and you'll see what these look like.
If I was a Devils fan, I'd be trying to make that their standard logo.
Maybe, yeah.
Let's move on. Do we have more? I think we do.
Yep.
John, you added in some of the great, perfect. Yep. So I should say thank you to Anthony from Banners. He did the work for us on this bit. I think John, you had shared out on X about anybody who had seen any other ones, and I think people jumped in for us and sent us through a couple of them. And obviously this is the Steel Dogs, Sheffield Steel Dogs. They've had their own issues this week, and we'll not get into that. I know there's a fan forum, and it caused some controversy. But we'll leave it at that. I'm sure. I think Anthony and the boys there will probably have talked about that in their podcast. So head over there to see what the take was on that. But Sheffield Steel Dogs. This is another Sheffield team. I think as a Sheffield team compared to the other Sheffield team, I think this Sheffield team did it right, did it better. Let's be fair.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I don't know. I think the background, the base of the jersey, 100% agree with you. I'm not taken with it on black. I still think on white is better, and I wish they'd done something with the logo. I wish they'd whited it out or done something else with it. It's not my favorite.
Moving on, next one we have
your checks in the post, Anthony.
Well, we don't get paid, so unfortunately you get the same amount of money as we do.
Yeah.
The Tigers, sorry, itchy nose. Next one up, gone for obviously the pattern, the tiger pattern, and threw in some rainbow stripes, some rainbow tears instead. Thoughts?
Well, it's rainbow tiger stripes. Is what I'm gonna assume here. I'm just not a fan of that at all.
No, I'm not either. No, it's a bit like the Coventry one. Like the colors have been thrown in, no real uniformity to the colors, so it's kind of hard to tell that it's the rainbow flag, if you know what I mean. Like the colors are in there, but it's hard to tell it's a rainbow flag. In my opinion, anyway. Yeah. Next up,
Swindon
Wildcats.
I like it.
John, your thoughts?
I like it. It's simple. Unlike the last two, they've done something with the logo. I'm still not a big fan. I don't know why everyone just decides to pick a black jersey for Pride. I really don't get it. But by incorporating their logo, they've done something that the other two teams haven't done. So far, as far as this league's concerned, top end for me.
So I'm going to go the opposite of you, John. What a surprise!
Funny that.
And say actually that's the thing I don't like about this jersey is I feel like their logo is lost within the full rainbow. I think it's lost. I think it's hard to see. It's almost camouflaged in the middle of there, especially if you look at this front jersey here. It just looks lost. Like the logo just looks like it's disappeared. But I don't know. We'll see. Next up. Oh, did that pop up? It did come up. What do you think of this one?
That's nice.
It's full of colour, and it's white, and they've incorporated the logo, so it's ticking the boxes for me. The only issue I have is what is the rest of that scribble?
Yeah, I get it. I feel like someone has been playing Formula 1 2024 because this is one of the designs that you can get for one of the decals for your cars if you play Formula 1. This is one of the designs on the cars. So I think someone's maybe been playing a bit of that and we're like, oh, let's throw it in New Jersey. I like the style of that. So that's what it definitely looks like. Yeah.
I disagree with all of you. The colours pop much better on white.
He's terrifying whenever he's on a podcast. He's not like that when he's in person. Like.
Oh, this is Aaron. Yes, I've just seen his comment there. Is this the last one we have? Sorry, my computer seemed to play it up there.
No, we've got one. We've got one more, which brings us back to the Elite League.
The Soloway
for something
Soloway
else.
The Soloway Sharks have added this one. Dave, I'm going to guess this is definitely down your. This is going to tick the boxes for you because I know you said you like it when you can clearly see what they're trying to accomplish, and obviously they've included all aspects of the Pride flag in this jersey, from trans, but bisexual, everything is all in there.
The background of the jersey, is it coloured lines?
Again, why am I moving closer to my screen? I could just zoom in. I don't.
It's sort of. It looks a bit like a pinstripe suit.
Yeah, it does actually.
Yeah,
it does.
But I do. I like it. I like the sleeves. I like the bottom, the cups of the sleeves and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The waistband and the sleeves make this jersey. I think it's up there. It's not my top one for this league, but yeah, that's not a bad attempt.
Last but not least, then, is away from Pride. This is a jersey that the Giants have put out this week, or put out today. The Giants are having a Chinese New Year celebration as part of their game in February, as an association with the Chinese Welfare Association here in Northern Ireland. And Chinese Welfare Association, for anyone who doesn't know, is a charity that has been set up in Northern Ireland to help support the growth of the Chinese community in Northern Ireland. They do a lot of great work here in throughout the whole region, and as part of obviously they've been doing some work with the Belfast Giants, and this is the jersey that they've designed as part of that Chinese New Year celebration. If anybody hasn't seen it, it is a traditional Chinese red jersey, which is all about prosperity, wealth, and luck, and they've included it in the gold detailing that is typical with Chinese New Year. This year is the year of the dragon. Unfortunately, we are playing the Cardiff Devils on the day that this game is happening, so it's kind of a bit weird because obviously we're going to have a devil, or we're going to have a dragon on our jersey. But
it could be worse. It could have been the Blaze.
I know that I'm a fan of this jersey. I really like this jersey, and I like the idea that they're going with, and the fact that the money they're raising is going to go towards the Chinese Welfare Association, which I think is great. Because I know the work that they do. Just being working with it. Working myself in the charity sector and the community sector, I know the work that they do, and I think it's really worthwhile. So I really like it. I know, John, you're completely opposite opinion to me.
Whoa. Hang on. I'm of a differing opinion on the design of the jersry.
John, works out.
Straight away, let's just clarify that position.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah, sorry. Oops.
Fully back the purposes behind having a special jersey, the funding that this can provide for the Welfare Association is fantastic. The design of the jersey is not for me. And that's coming from someone who owns a lovely gold Nashville Predators jersey.
Yellow.
This isn't... It's just, it's not for me. It feels like too much. And I can't...
Come from the boy who also owns a Five Flyers anniversary jersey, completely tartan covered. And I mean...
Yeah, my Caesar jersey. It's fantastic. Yeah. The entire purpose of that jersey was to skate by the opposition, cause them to go into some sort of epileptic episode and be able to score multiple goals. Now, it didn't work, but I love the effort that they went to.
Sure.
This one, I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. I just can't get on board with it. I don't really like the design. Now, I will caveat this with the fact that all we've seen so far is the graphic mock-up. If things are maybe slightly more muted when they're actually produced, I might change my tune on this, but right now it's not for me.
I want it to be I want it whenever they get it on them to be actually gold, like flipping shiny.
Yeah.
I want it to look like it's made of silk. 100%. I want one. Yeah. I want one so bad.
I really do. I really like them. Definitely. Anthony Russell with his comment, is number 28 surname your 18 or 19th import this season? Very funny, very good.
It depends. It depends which of those numbers is luckiest, as far as the Chinese zodiac or whatever is concerned. Whichever one's better, 18 or 19.
There you go. Guys, that's it for jerseys for this episode. We're not going to be coming back to any jerseys, but yeah, always good to kind of have a look at it. And yeah, it's definitely some good ones this season, and also some questionable ones. But yeah, and I think that's the last story for period one. I know we have 2 stories in our penalty box segment, so I think it's simply just let's move on to the penalty box for this period. All right, penalty box segment is a couple of stories just in relation to any major hits, bans, or anything of note coming out of player safety, that sort of thing. We have 2, one from the Elite League, I believe, John, and the other one coming from England Ice Hockey. So if you want to lead with those, as you put them in.
Yep. So the first one is Dundee Stars player Sean Allen was given a 2-game suspension for an illegal check to the head on Cardiff Devils forward Ben Davies. Guys, I don't know if you've had a chance to have a look through this video, what you think of it. This one, I think, is fairly clean cut. I think it's pretty nailed on. It's a clear first point of contact is the head, it's above the shoulders. The main reason I put this in is not because specifically about Sean Allen's ban, but checking to the head has been one that's popped up quite a few times this season. And I'm thinking specifically about an incident that happened with the Giants just this past weekend in Nottingham, where a video was widely circulated on social media. Now, nothing's come of this. There was no ban for the Nottingham player who was involved in this, but what looked to be a very, very clear check to the head on a Belfast Giants player. And people have been kind of complaining about, well, what's happened with that one. The first things first, guys, the Sean Allen one, clear cut?
Yep.
Yeah, my only points were that one I was kind of confused was like, it wasn't called in the night, and I think it should have been. And rest and competency is probably kind of shining through again. And also, is he not a repeat offender? So should it not be an additional?
Well, this is the thing. We're back to this consistency issue with DOPS. I think at the time when this was released, I looked, and I think almost all checking to the head DOPS decisions have been 2 games. So to say that he was a repeat offender, then I don't know how it stays at 2.
Yeah, that was my take.
I'm confused about that.
There should have probably been an extra game, I think, for the fact that he's a repeat offender and it's happened before. I just think, it should have been 3 rather than 2. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's all I had on it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, it's really clear, and I agree. If repeat offenders should got some sort of supplementary discipline on top of
that. Yep. The only other one for DOPS then is I wanted to throw this one up. So since our last podcast, England Ice Hockey, who I have to keep looking at the banner of their website to remember their new name at this point, issued quite a number of sanctions on quite a lot of players just this past week. Now, quite a lot of these were to do with a specific incident that happened between, I believe it was Streatham and Invicta, and I hope I got that right, Anthony. But there was essentially a brawl between periods, at which point Invicta decided not to come back for the third period of the game and finish it. Now, it's ended up with, I believe, in something like excess of 70 game suspensions across both teams. The EIHL or England Ice Hockey continue to make incredible points with their bans. I think a criticism that's come from this one specifically is that there hasn't been expansion on each of the individual bans. All they've done is list them. Now, I know that there's been other repercussions off the back of these incidents. There's been players who've been dropped from their teams as a result of taking part in these altercations. Guys, any thoughts on this one?
I don't think you do individual things for every single one of them, especially if there's 19 of them here. I mean, that's someone basically working non-stop around the clock to try and pull together all that stuff in order to get it out in time. Yeah, again, like, I mean, there's one that's like a 20-game suspension, fighting off playing surface. There's a 10-game suspension there. These are big numbers. These are big games. 2 20-game bans, actually. Jeez, I'm just looking there. Yeah, 2. Josh Martin and Joseph Covey both getting... No, sorry. Josh Martin... Sorry, this is really hard to... Hang on, I'm just going to have to go across lines. Josh Martin and Tyler Merrill. Yeah. That's really bad spacing. Yeah, 20-game suspension each. That's insane. But
I haven't seen anything like that since somebody else got, what was it, 20 games for punching a guy off the ice?
What did Joe Grimaldi get for throwing all of his equipment at different members of the opposition team?
That was nappy changed.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's but as you say, like, we've always seen that, you know, the numbers were always slightly bigger in this league, and yeah, that's but when you're reading them, when you read this full list, it's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty mad. I know that there's been issues around this DOPS department in particular. I know that a few people have been incredibly critical about decision making and about the appeals process, where there's been issues around the fees incurred and where solicitors get involved and a whole pile of different things. So like, we think we've got it bad in the EIHL, and we've got it as bad as anyone can get it. We're not the only ones.
The one I like, I just read there, I was reading down the list, and the one I like, which I kind of was like, how is this written? What does this mean? Josh Condren for the Invicta Dynamos, 12-game suspension for slicing an opponent with violence after the end of period. With violence? Slicing an opponent with violence? Do you know what I mean? Slashing with slashing with violence?
He pulled out a knife.
Just like slashing with violence.
Was it metaphorical? What is it? I was going to make a point and it's completely gone out. Carry on.
It's okay.
I'll take a 1 period suspension here and just stay quiet during period 2.
You know what? I'll give you a break. We'll close off this period with the penalty box segment there, and we'll move straight on to our period 2 of hockey.
Hello, and welcome to period 2, where we'll talk about hockey from everywhere that isn't the UK. This one is tricky. Do we get the elephant in the room out of the way quick, or do we leave it to the end?
No, let's talk about this. This is the biggest story. Let's talk about this story.
Marty, you popped it in there so that let you get her started.
This is a story. Obviously, this is a story that's kind of evolving as we were talking about this on our podcast tonight. This kind of news also only broke in the last 24 hours, so we should say that as well. The first indication that something was going on was that 4 NHL players, I think, and a former player. Four players had asked for temporary leave from each of their clubs. Some big names. We talked about the Philadelphia Flyers goaltender Carter Hart earlier. We also have New Jersey Devils Cal Foote and also Michael McLeod. And we have the Calgary Flames Dylan Dubé. And former NHL player Alex Fermenton should be mentioned in this too, who's playing in Europe. They're all on indefinite leave of absence, and they all had put it in for it around about the same time. Now, at first, when the requests came in, they were kind of coming in drips and drabs. I think the big first one was Carter Hart was kind of one of the ones that kind of people were kind of drawn attention to. And when Carter Hart's name was put out there to say he's asked for absence, people were like, oh, what's going on here? The story has also now came out that 5 players from Canada's 2018 World Junior team have been basically asked to surrender themselves to the police service in, I believe, London, Canada. Is that correct?
London,
saying?
Ontario. Yep.
Yeah. And they have been asked to surrender themselves to the police following a sexual assault charges that are they're now facing. There is an inquiry currently going on, and we should say that is an inquiry, and we don't want to get ourselves in trouble. But the clubs have obviously released them, and there will be an absence for each of them. So yes, the police in London, Ontario launched an investigation in 2022 after it emerged that Hockey Canada had settled a lawsuit with a woman who has said she was sexually assaulted by 8 members of the Canadian hockey team. Now, this story had been out. We had talked about this story a long while back. So this is obviously a continuation of that. The Globe and the Mail, both Canadian news outlets, reported that 5 players from the team were asked to surrender to police and on charges of sexual assault. And obviously those names have now came out, as we now know each of those players who have been released from their NHL teams. Boys, it's hard to talk about this story in too much detail, obviously, because obviously it is an ongoing investigation. It's something that's ongoing as we speak, and obviously more will probably be coming out over the coming days and week. But I mean, it was an interesting, because obviously as it started coming out in drips and drabs, and as the news started to break, people were kind of like, what is going on? Only for it to be maybe within 24 hours later that obviously this was announced. And then it was kind of one of those ones where it was talked about kind of vaguely that 5 players have been asked to come in, and then people then were like, oh, well, let's join up the dots. There's those 4 players here who were on that team, and they've all left their team, and this has happened. So therefore, is there any kind of, correlation between that? And obviously now we know that that is exactly what's happened. Any thoughts, any comments on it, John?
I mean, this is just going to continue. This has been going on. Like you said, we covered some of the initial outthrow of what happened with this, where I think the first time we saw any of this in the press was when Hockey Canada accepted that they had used player registration fees and other monies brought into the organisation to settle out of court or in court settlements for assault cases and sexual assault cases
without liability, by the way, just so.
Yeah, and that led to the Quebec Hockey saying that they would no longer be paying their dues to Hockey Canada, and that was what caused that whole panic in, I think it was either 2019 or 2020, about, well, is Hockey Canada fit for purpose? And a lot of people saying that the organisation had to go, and hockey had to be governed a different way in Canada. And I think that there's potential for that conversation to come back now, because we now have 5 players who have been asked to present themselves to police to face charges. So yeah, it's an incredibly serious matter. The victim deserves all the support that they are hopefully getting and will continue to get. And I think we're at the point where we will comment more as more news comes out.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, the NHL itself, well, we'll talk about that in a second. The NHL itself didn't actually put out any kind of statement, but instead they kind of deflected and put a bit of a smoke screen, which we're going to talk about. But yeah, I mean, the 5 Flyers themselves came out and just said, obviously, that it is an ongoing investigation, and that the team itself would respond appropriately when outcomes of the investigation are made public. So, I mean, it is an ongoing story. I guess watch this space. I'm sure we'll be talking about this again in our next episode in 2 weeks' time. I'm sure more information will come out and we'll have a better understanding of what's happening there. Dave?
Yeah, it's a tough one, obviously, to cover. I've seen a few, hence why I threw in that without liability, because there's been a few outlets that have already had issues where they didn't say that and got in trouble whenever their civil case was taken to court. Part of the settlement did not accept any liability, so that's the Hockey Canada has played a fast one, if you want, with the way they've worded it. So all current allegations are just that at the moment, and we'll let the justice take its course. Okay, we will move on. We'll keep it in the NHL. Will we start? Will we go? Yes, there's only one more for the NHL, isn't that right? For the Utah. So John, that was one of yours.
Yeah, so just a couple of days ago, this came out of absolutely nowhere. In fact, I think this was yesterday.
It's the same. We just note this came as everything was breaking with that last story. The NHL went, let's deflect. Let's throw in. Oh, Utah. Oh, let's throw that in there.
Look at the puppet.
Sorry.
Look at the puppet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, essentially, what happened was if the announcement that came out is to be believed, timing-wise, Smith Entertainment Group, the owners of the Utah Jazz, have asked the NHL to initiate an expansion process to bring a team to Salt Lake City. So this went out and everyone started looking at it, and everyone was like, oh, yeah, okay, let's start a conversation about that. And then, yeah, of course, everyone started putting two and two together fairly quickly, that maybe this wasn't quite on the up and up. But Smith Entertainment Group put this statement out saying, we want hockey in Utah. The NHL then very quickly put out their own statement on the Smith Entertainment Group's statement themselves, saying the NHL appreciates the interest expressed by SEG to bring NHL hockey to Utah. During conversations over the course of the past 2 years, we've been impressed by Ryan and Ashley Smith's commitment to their community and their passion and vision for Utah, not only as a hockey market, but as a preeminent sports and entertainment destination. Utah is a promising market, and we look forward to continuing our discussions. So basically, they tried to deflect everything that was going on with 2 tweets.
Yeah.
The NHL, the NHL will try their best to stay out of this, because I think if any of you have read Theo Fleury's book, Playing with Fire, he talks about his own issues with Hockey Canada whenever he was going through his legal troubles. Hockey Canada has an awful lot of allegations laid at their door, and the NHL will want to stay as far away from that organization as it can. And I think that they'll probably do that by only commenting on things that's within their control, as in where the teams in the NHL play and their conduct as an NHL player. When they're with their national teams, the NHL has no control, so they'll want to stay as far away from that as humanly possible. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get a team in Utah. I didn't realize Salt Lake City was a hockey market, but there you go.
Yeah.
Fuzz asks an interesting question there. It's like, could you see a current team moving to Utah? Well, up until they finally seem to have got their arena over the line, I would have said, well, I mean, you don't have to look much further than the Yotes, do you? If someone's going to build an arena, the Yotes will come. But I think they did actually get their arena plans across the line, didn't they? So they've got permission to build in Arizona. So they're probably not gonna move at this point. And I've got to throw this comment back up again, Anthony. 100%. I've said it every single time since we've started doing this podcast when there's been an expansion. Go back to Quebec. Canada deserves another franchise, and Quebec as a city has been hanging out for hockey to come back and to bring. I don't care if it's the Nordiques or not. NHL hockey deserves to be in Quebec. It's just horrendous, and the league just seem to bury their head in the sand every single time with it.
Yeah, I'm just going back to the first question, obviously from Fuzzer about team. Do we see another team? I don't think so. I think it'll be another case of kind of similar to what happened with Vegas and what happened with Seattle. I think it'll be a new team formation, and that whole thing of protecting your players. I think
I know what will happen. That second team in Toronto they talked about will actually happen, and then the Leafs are going to have to move because everyone buys the cheaper tickets. The cheaper tickets for the other arena, because at this point you have to. take out a mortgage on your house, sell a kidney, and agree to give them, I think, your fourth born child to get a ticket to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Dave, your nephew, was at a Toronto game there recently.
He was,
he's a poor
He
student.
come out with all these fingers.
How do you afford that?
I have no idea. I think he
Did
got
you find
off
a back door unlocked?
Yeah. The seats were. Did you see the photos? They were interesting seats. I'm not sure whether there's like a pillar or something very close to where he was.
Do you know what? I looked at restricted view seats for Toronto when I went, and they were still about $200 a ticket.
Yeah, pricey
compared to I spent $10 to go see the Florida Panthers.
Seems about right.
So we'll go on to our last piece, which is back in the it's back in the UK. But John.
Yep. So GB have announced their squad for next month's men's Olympic qualifiers that will be held in the Vindico Arena in Cardiff. 22-player roster has been announced that will include for the first time Cam Critchlow, Sean Norris, our own number 14 for the Belfast Giants, and Brandon Whistle, who will get their first full caps for Team GB. We've got an interesting lineup, guys. I'll rattle through these fairly quickly. Netminders, Ben Bounds, clearly, is still being named current Cardiff Devils netminder. Jackson Whistle from the Belfast Giants has also been named, and they will share the netminding duties. Defensemen then, we have David Clements from the Coventry Blaze, Nathaniel Halbert from HC Innsbruck, Sam Jones of the Sheffield Steelers, Evan Mosey of the Cardiff Devils, Ben O'Connor, who we've spoken to on the podcast, number 14 for the Guildford Flames. Davy Phillips, our own Belfast Giant, will make his way to represent Team GB again, along with Mark Richardson of the Cardiff Devils and Sam Roop, who this season is playing in Lotzer Fuchsia. I have no idea where that is. Forwards wise, Ollie Betteridge from the Nottingham Panthers, Cam Critchlow from the Manchester Storm, Johnny Curran, previously of Belfast, but now Coventry Blaze, Rob Dowd of the Steelers, Liam Kirk has been named and will be making his way back over to represent Team GB, Rob Lakovitz from Glasgow Clan, Ben Lake from the Belfast Giants, Cade Nielsen from University of Alaska Fairbanks, Sean Norris, as we mentioned before, from the Belfast Giants, Brett Perlini from Mech Hal 04, Josh Waller from the Cardiff Devils, and rounding things out will be Brandon Whistle from the Sheffield Steelers. Guys, any comments on any of those, or are we just going to pat the back of the Belfast Giants?
Brilliant job for the Belfast Giants. Brandon Whistle's injured.
Yeah, I thought
no, he's not. Too. He's back.
No, he's
back
for
Sheffield. He's back for Sheffield.
On the day that this was announced, they were still day to day on his return, and they had no. He wasn't even currently training with the team when this was announced. So if he's came back quick.
I'm nearly convinced. I'm not overly interested enough to go and check this, but I'm nearly convinced that the Sheffield Steelers put out a message that Brandon was back in the lineup, and that was a big thing for them. And I'm nearly convinced that he might have either scored a goal or was involved in a goal last night against Glasgow. Or not Glasgow. Who did they play again? Coventry.
Surprised not to see as many Steelers for them being such a dominant team.
That's because they're import heavy this year.
Can't say anything. Giants are important, me too.
Yeah.
Still got 4 on the team.
Let's take 1 minute. We're still desperate to speak to him. Hopefully we will at some point for 14 to 14. Sean Norris getting his first full cap. First full
well
call-up.
deserved.
Yeah, incredibly well deserved to see him get that.
Moved to the top line for the Giants over the last few games.
Yeah, he has.
And I think he's done well. So he has really. He's a very physical player, and he's really good on the forecheck. So hopefully he injects a bit of energy in GB as well.
Yep. Anything else? Anyone want to comment on anything there?
No, just great to see some new names coming into Team GB. I suppose they're obviously replacing some retirees from last year too. So yeah, it's good to see. And I think it's a great that both Sean, Brandon, or all of them, and Cam, Brandon and Cam all got the nod. So yeah, fair play. The tournament, we should note for anybody who is interested, it is taking place the weekend of the
8th to the 11th of February.
8th to 11th of February.
They will play Romania, China, and Serbia,
Yes,
all vying for qualification to the Winter Olympics.
Team GB will be facing off against China on Thursday, facing off against Serbia on Saturday, and then against Romania on the Sunday. And the tickets are tournament prices for that is standard adult ticket price is £49 for the tournament, all games. Single game is £20, and non-GB games are £10. Obviously, there's senior student discounts and under 16 discounts too. So if you are interested, make your way there and go. I'm sure it'll be a great tournament as always. So yeah.
Do you know what? For those prices, like let alone the cost of the tournament pass, if I wanted to take a couple of days off and go to all those games for £50 is pretty good. And you're in Cardiff and you're in the Vindico, which I've only seen photos of. I don't actually know what it's like inside, but I'm assuming it's not a bad place to go and watch hockey. I think that's good value.
Yeah, I think
especially
so
with what's at stake for GB. Like, love to see them get qualification because that has the potential to really lift the sport up in the eyes of the people that matter, where it comes to things like money for development and even mental things that we've talked about only on tiny little podcasts like TV broadcasting. Because if they get an image, let's be totally honest, this Team GB team that we've had over the last few years, they should have been given plaudits that haven't come to them. They should have been honourable mentions at Sports Personality of the Year Awards for the promotion back up to top flight, and they barely got a pat on the back. Like, that was terrible. But that's an indictment of the view of ice hockey and how much it's looked at across the board when you've got netball and British basketball, which sit above it, but are massively under on the viewership. It's mental.
The thing that gets me, especially with that sort of stuff, is that take the Giants. They won everything they possibly could do without winning the Champions League. They still didn't even get even a questionable mention for Team of the Year. Not even in a wee sub notes. And also this was really happening. Nothing. And it's such a shame. And it has to change. And hopefully something does. The Olympics would be a perfect catalyst for that. Whether it happens or not, it's a different matter. But we will see. Yep. So we have nothing in the penalty box for period 2. So it looks like this one is fairly quick and sweet.
Nope.
So we'll move on to period 3.
That was incredible. Outside of podcasts where Marty's not here, it's one of the few times I get to press the button for those videos. So that was an experience. So thank you. Everyone.
Well, it's very well done. Very well done.
Period 3
Easty managed to let it play the whole way through. Every time I try to do this,
I'm just going to play it again. Period 3 is... Look at the worry on Marty's face. He thought I was actually going to play it again. Period 3 is our general knocky news.
He didn't
didn't even let us kind of jump in there. They just kind of fine.
I stayed quiet. You had your opportunity.
No, it's fine. It's okay.
It's a general knocky news.
Continue.
General knocky news.
It's a general knocky news.
It's where we talk about anything and everything else in the world of hockey as this podcast is slowly unraveling. Guys, there's only one story here. It's from Aaron. However, Marty, I do know that you have looked at this in great depth, so I'm going to let you take it.
I have indeed. Yes, Aaron threw this into our WhatsApp group there earlier this week, and I think I seen you basically after been like added the running order. So I did it on his behalf, and unfortunately he could be here with us tonight, but we definitely wanted to go across this. This story is slightly older. It is from the start of January, and we just didn't see it for our last podcast. Otherwise, we had added on to the last one. But this is obviously the Edmonton Oilers, if anybody doesn't know, they hold their own version of a skills competition in front of the Rogers Place, sorry, every year around January time. So kind of similar to the NHL All Star Skills competition as part of the All Star Weekend. The Edmonton Oilers put together just your typical kind of skills competition from things like fastest skater, most accuracy, all those things you come to expect from the NHL All Stars. They do it themselves. But one of the big things that they do, and something that they add on as an additional skills competition, is the team holds what they call the Ruff Ruff Relay. Basically, the way this works is that the players bring in their dogs to the rink, and the players' dogs start on the goal line one at a time, and they see which dog can make it to the far blue line the fastest. Last year's champion was Conor McDavid's dog, Lenny. This year, if anybody hasn't seen the video, go watch it. Lenny stole the show this year, but in a different way. He basically didn't complete it. He DNF'd. For any Formula One fans who know what that is, basically did not finish his game, or he did not finish the run. So it was a bit of a surprise that he ran out. He went out and didn't execute it this year. But if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth going on and having a look. I don't know if I should tell you who won or not, and just let you go and check that out yourself. But all the players, there's quite a few of them there. I know Evan Bouchard's dog Ollie was blisteringly fast, and then Ryan Nugent Hopkins' dog is a beautiful dog as well. And I think there's a little French bulldog called Hugo in there too. And I won't give away who won it, but yeah, go and have a look. It's definitely worth a few minutes, and it is on X. Yeah, and I just thought that'd be a nice story just to end the podcast on for this week.
I have one. I forgot to put it on. I put it in our chat and forgot to put it up. Did anybody see the Saskatoon versus the Walleye? Saskatoon forgot their jerseys.
No.
Not even didn't have had the
anything.
wrong ones. Had nothing.
They ended up wearing the Walleyes training jersey. So it was the Walleyes versus the Walleyes.
Insane.
It's worth a watch. It just looks really weird.
It's exceptionally weird because I don't know if it's the training top. I think it's actually a pre-season.
Was it a pre-season one? Was it?
I think it was a pre-season jersey. So yeah, it's the Walleye versus the Walleye. It's really, really weird.
I'll try and find the link.
Honestly, I think I watched the video of it on mute the first couple of times, and I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. Why is this? Oh wait, okay, that's why.
It looked like it was a training match, like a wee pre-season game or a wee open training session, and then you're like, what the heck? So there you go.
It
doesn't only happen in the Elite League, Before it's been a while. After Edinburgh left, it stopped happening just as much.
That's it. We have
Perfect.
Nothing else in period 3, and I don't see anything else in the running order, Marty.
No, we don't. Nothing else in the running order for this week. No questions. So, yeah.
I can say, and I did say this on social media, we have no 14 with 14 this time round again. But, and I know I said this before, I am pretty sure I've got one nailed in for the next podcast.
Yes, I think you've got it in our diary. I think I could see it in the calendar. So yes, hopefully, fingers crossed we have that one for next episode.
Fingers crossed.
Because I know I really enjoy watching them as an observer. So yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to it. That's it for this week and for this podcast. As usual, you can check out this podcast and all of our other podcasts on our website at door14hockey.com. Get involved. Send us a message, chat to us, link in with us on our social media channels. I know a lot of you do, and we appreciate all of it. We're on all social media channels, on X, or on Instagram, Facebook, and also John likes to throw in on TikTok every now and again. We're at Door 14 Hockey on those. Yeah, exactly. And if you are whatever podcast, if you listen to this if you listen to this in the traditional way as a podcast, and if you haven't done so already, don't forget to leave us a like, review, or a comment, because it does really help. John,
make sure to follow us on social media. It's going to be Dave and I's first visit to the Spectrum, so I am bringing some bits and pieces to try and track our journey as we make our way to Surrey for the first time and go to what has been billed as possibly one of the top leisure centres to go and watch ice hockey in.
Yes. And that's it for this week. All it is to do is to sign off for our episode. I'm Marty.
I'm Dave.
I'm Joe.
Have a great week.